Hello, YouTube. It's me, John Avenger, once again, and welcome to another Movies That Are Long, very long month. And we have a good one for you today. This is definitely a polarizing movie. I know a lot of people hated this movie back in 2012. It was one of those summer blockbusters that failed to be a tentpole film, probably to start a new franchise. It's based on a board game. No, it's not Ouija, because I refuse to watch that. It's 2012's Battleship. Yeah, I did watch this movie last year on cable, so I can finally review this. This movie counts. It's 131 minutes, so it's 2 hours and 11 minutes. It counts. I don't hate this movie. I know a lot of people did. They put this on their worst list of 2012. They said it's one of the worst movies ever made. Oh God, no. Son of the Mask couldn't touch it. Son of the Mask is way worse. Battleship couldn't touch that movie because I'm like, that is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And that movie was pandering, and so it was one of the worst comedies I've ever seen. This, I got some entertainment out of it. The film looks great. Peter Berg is a good director at the helm, even though it's very stupid. I know. This movie is mindless fun. If you shut your brain off, you want to have some fun to look at some explosions that are not done by Michael Bay, and a decent cast, and a movie that's not 3 hours long like Age of Extinction. It's fun. It's fine. I mean, I don't hate the movie. I like the effects. I think the Halo suits and those giant metal balls that when the aliens land on Earth and they start destroying shit, and they sink their battleship. So there are battleships in the movie. It's not a lie. Taylor Kitsch is decent in the film. I don't hate him. I know a lot of people thought he was horrible. I thought John Carter was worse. I saw that movie and I was bored out of my mind. It's Avatar in Mars, and that failed. Here, at least in this movie, I got some more entertainment value out of it. I think it's kind of underrated. I don't hate the film. It had a sense of humor that I liked. I also liked some of the supporting cast, Brooklyn Decker, Alexander Skarsgård. He's all right. The Japanese guy that was in, I think, the first Thor movie. This was after Thor, so he was fine in the movie. Um, like I said, the film is not. It has a lot of action, so it's not like an hour of nothing and then something happens at the end. And there's some decent costumes in the movie. The sets look good. I mean, there's some CG, a lot of CG, because this was a tentpole movie, but it failed to live up to the box office, results. But I didn't hate it. Like I said, I sat through Age of Extinction in the theater and I suffered for over 2 and a half hours. It's one of the longest movies I've ever seen in the theater. This I didn't see in the theater, so I didn't waste any money. Now the film has a ton of problems. I'm going to say this right now. Like I said, the film is very stupid, but it knows what it is. It has a lot of cliches that a lot of Michael Bay and Roland Emmerich movies have. They have a nerdy guy that talks a lot, like in Roland Emmerich movies. Tons of explosions, tons of things blowing up, metal machines going through buildings and just crashing everywhere. It does look like a Transformers movie, but it doesn't feel like one. There's no piss jokes. There's no freaking like sex jokes or dogs humping. There's no like, toilet humor like of any kind that I remember. No fart jokes. There's a joke, that doesn't work. Like, the Brooklyn Decker's like, I want a chicken burrito, and uh, Taylor Kitsch breaks into like a store and goes to get her one, and she's impressed by him. I think the film's okay. I mean, it has its problems. Also, Liam Neeson didn't need to be in the movie. He doesn't do much. He's in the film for like 10 or 15 minutes. He doesn't serve a purpose. He's just there to make the film grander than it needed to be. But he didn't need to be in the film. He doesn't have any action scenes at all. Rihanna, not an actress. She's a good singer, beautiful, but not an actress. I've seen her face. She's very plain. You could have given that to any other actress. It would have been much better. Uh, some of the soldiers in this movie, I know that they're real Navy or Marines or whatever. They also didn't need to be in the film. They didn't need to act. All they needed to do was stand in the background and just be soldiers. So, do a salute, say, do your routine. That would have been fine. There's one guy that has like robotic legs, and he kind of gives an okay performance, but that's about it. That's all I can say about that. The film is very cliche. Aliens attacking the Earth, but they're not. There's no portal in the sky like in freaking like in whatchamacallit in Suicide Squad or Fantastic Four. Yeah, I'd rather see this than Fan Four Stick. I would rather see this because this was not as boring. It wasn't as dreary. It had a sense of humor. The cast was in on the joke. It's based on a freaking board game. There is no plot. The board game, I never played it. I never played Battleship in my life. I played Monopoly, Jumanji, and Scrabble, and freaking Trouble, and Jenga. I've never played Battleship in my entire life. My brother did, but not me. And the relationships between the humans were not as laughable as Transformers. I mean, Taylor Kitsch is no Shia LaBeouf, but he's trying. And John Carter, they try to push him too far, and the CG, and it was a Disney movie that was a waste of my time. This at least had some human characters, and they're not as memorable as other movies, but I don't think it's even Peter Berg's worst movie. I've seen worse than this from him and from Michael Bay and from Roland Emmerich. I'd rather watch this in Age of Extinction. I'd rather watch this from freaking Independence Day 2. I'd rather watch this in Terminator Genesis. I'd rather watch this in Suicide Squad or The Amazing Spider-Man. Yeah, screw you. You came out the same year as Battleship and you're shit compared to this movie. Because at least this movie tried. And despite the problems, I can still watch the movie. I would mind getting this on DVD. It's not perfect, has a lot of problems, but it's a movie that's serviceable compared to movies that are insultingly boring, like Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. And it has the cliches. The aliens, I don't think look that bad. The effects wise, it look better. And I'm gonna say this right now: I'd rather watch this in Rogue One or Episode 7 or 8. It's not a great movie. I'm not going to call it good, but it entertained me. I was not bored for 2 hours, like with other movies, pandering to and giving fan service. There are pegs. The aliens shoot pegs just like in the freaking board game, but I didn't play the board game, so and I'd rather watch this in the new Jumanji movie because that movie looks like shit. I saw the trailer, it wasn't funny. The premise is stupid at this point. The original Jumanji's better, but Battleship for what it is, if you want to see an action movie and turn your brain off and kill 2 hours, this is the movie for you. It's fun. It's not the worst thing ever. Believe me, people call the Emoji Movie the worst movie of all time, like one of the worst animated movies. I've seen worse. Trust me, I have seen worse from Disney and hand drawn and CGI. I've seen worse. So there's bad, but then there's terrible, and there's freaking unwatchable movies. This is not one of them. I've seen much worse than this. Before this movie came out and after this movie came out. Ouija is based on a board game, and they use a Ouija board, but the acting's even worse. I know, I've seen the trailers, and it's not scary. This movie, I can give it the pass for a one watch at least. If you don't have to own this. One watch, it won't kill you. And I know my friend Joshua was really like, it's an okay movie. It's fine. It's not the worst thing ever. Don't expect it to be Shakespeare. Don't expect it to be, you know, Star Wars. Don't expect it to be Star Trek. Don't expect it to be freaking Battlestar Galactica. Just go in with an open mind, or not even an open mind. Just shut your brain off. Have some popcorn, have a drink of water or soda, and just enjoy a fun sci-fi action movie. That's basically what it is. And it's not perfect, but it's not the worst thing ever. So yeah, that's my review of Battleship. Basically, a bunch of marine, a simple premise, a bunch of aliens. They had to put aliens in there because I don't think a board game for 2 hours was going to be boring. Sorry, a bunch of Marines and what you call it, officers have to battle aliens in the water instead of in space or in a major city, which was different. So at least it tried, and I could at least commend the movie for that, even though it didn't make any money. But there are movies that made way more money than this, and they were shit. That made billions of dollars, like Jurassic World, and I was bored to death. And I'm glad Trevorrow's not directing Episode 9, even though I don't care about that movie anyway. But at least this movie didn't bore me to death. So I give it credit for that. Simple premise, some fun action. It has its moments. So that's my review of Battleship 2012. It's definitely better than the Asylum version of that movie, I can tell you that. But anyway, it's fine. It's not a good movie, but it's not the worst thing ever. It's not as bad as people made it out to be. Like, oh my god, this is the worst movie I've ever seen done by Hasbro. They did the Transformers sequels. I think I'm in better hands with this. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next review.